I may do that for Greenland, too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little.
I believe it is a mistake today to impose new sanctions. I believe it is necessary instead to reopen the dialogue on this issue and to avoid any escalation from this particular point of view.
Welcome back. What you're about to hear is not a rumor. It's not a theory. And it's definitely not a coincidence. Germany and Italy, two of America's closest allies, are quietly questioning something that was once considered untouchable: whether their gold is truly safe inside the United States. More than $200 billion worth of gold, stored for decades in New York, is now at the center of a growing dispute fueled by Trump's tariff pressure, trade threats, and political uncertainty. This isn't just about metal locked in vaults. This is about trust, control, and who really holds power when global rules start to break. And the timing matters, because this push is happening right as Trump's tariff strategy is shaking markets, allies, and long-standing financial arrangements. Buckle up, because this story doesn't stop at gold. It moves through politics, logistics, financial markets, and straight into the daily lives of ordinary people. For decades, Germany and Italy stored large portions of their gold reserves inside the United States, not because they had to, but because the U.S. was seen as the safest place on Earth. After World War II, during the Cold War and the Bretton Woods era, New York became the world's ultimate vault. American stability was unquestioned. U.S. institutions were trusted. And keeping gold in New York meant security, liquidity, and political alignment. Germany alone owns over 3,300 tons of gold. Italy holds about 2,450 tons. A large share of that metal still sits under U.S. control. Until now, that arrangement was rarely challenged. But something has changed. Trump's return to aggressive trade tactics has reopened a deep fear in Europe. Not about tariffs alone, but about leverage. Trump has openly attacked central bank independence. He has threatened trade penalties on allies, and he has shown willingness to use economic tools as political weapons. That has forced European leaders to ask an uncomfortable question: if trade rules can be changed overnight, if tariffs can be imposed without warning, if financial pressure can be used as a negotiating tool, then what happens to foreign gold sitting inside U.S. vaults? This concern is no longer coming from fringe voices. German public broadcasters are openly discussing it. Mainstream politicians are raising alarms. Taxpayer groups are demanding answers. The idea that America is always safe is no longer automatic. In Germany, this debate has exploded into the political mainstream. For years, calls to bring gold home were dismissed as paranoia. Now they are being discussed in parliament, on television, and inside financial institutions. The message is simple. In times of crisis, physical control matters. If relations sour, access can be delayed. If tensions rise, trust can break. And if politics interfere with institutions, even long-standing arrangements become fragile. Italy is facing the same pressure. Its government once promised full gold repatriation. That promise was quietly set aside, until now. With nearly 43% of Italy's gold still stored abroad, critics argue that keeping it in a politically volatile U.S. environment is a growing risk. Trump's tariff pressure has turned gold into a bargaining chip, whether Washington admits it or not. But moving gold is not as simple as making a demand. Repatriating thousands of tons of bullion is one of the most complex financial operations on Earth. Germany has done it before. Between 2013 and 2017, it quietly moved hundreds of tons back home. The operation involved military aircraft, tight security, sealed transport routes, and months of coordination. It wasn't announced in advance. It wasn't televised. It was handled like a national security mission. Now, Germany and Italy would be looking at something much bigger. Up to 1,900 tons of gold, worth around $245 billion, moved over weeks, possibly months. Every shipment would be watched. Every move would be interpreted. And that's where politics enters again. Because pulling gold out of New York sends a signal, whether intended or not. It says, we don't fully trust the system anymore. U.S. officials insist the gold is safe. They point to audits, inspections, and long-standing agreements. European central banks respond carefully. No panic, no accusations. But behind the scenes, contingency plans are being updated, because even discussing repatriation creates pressure. And if the gold moves, the financial impact won't stay hidden. A withdrawal of this size would hit U.S. markets almost immediately. Gold stored at the New York Fed supports liquidity operations. It plays a role in confidence. and it sits quietly beneath the surface of the global financial system. Removing hundreds of billions in gold would force adjustments. Short-term liquidity could tighten. Treasury markets could feel pressure. Interest rates could edge higher. That may sound small, but it adds up. A slight rise in yields increases borrowing costs across the economy. Mortgages become more expensive. Auto loans creep higher. Credit tightens. For a typical household, even a minor rate increase means hundreds of dollars more per year. For an economy already under stress, that matters. And this is where Trump's tariffs come full circle. Tariffs are meant to protect domestic industry. They are meant to strengthen leverage. But when allies start questioning financial safety, the strategy backfires. Instead of reinforcing trust, pressure creates distance. Instead of cooperation, it triggers diversification. And gold becomes the escape valve. Central banks around the world are already reacting. More than 90% now expect global gold reserves to rise. Over half are actively moving reserves closer to home. Gold is no longer treated as a relic. It's treated as insurance. The long-term consequences go even deeper. As gold takes a larger role in reserves, reliance on U.S. treasuries weakens. Less demand for treasuries means higher yields. Higher yields mean more expensive debt. More expensive debt means tighter policy choices.